Red Bull built a dynasty. 4 world championships, 70 plus race wins, the most dominant driver and engineering partnership Formula One has seen in a generation. And it's been announced today that that partnership is set to be over. If you've watched F1 over the last decade, you know the voice. Calm, dry, occasionally sarcastic, the voice on the radio that kept Max Verstappen focused, grounded, and let's be honest, sometimes just about in check. The voice belongs to Gianpiero Lambiase, or GP, as everyone knows him, in the paddock. He's been with Max Verstappen in the Red Bull stable since day one, since that insane 2016 Spanish Grand Prix when Max stepped into that Red Bull car and took his win on debut, stepping in midweek. And then since the first World Championship, the second, the third, and the fourth, he's not just a race engineer. He's head of racing at Red Bull. He's part of the strategy, part of psychology, part co-pilot, and on most accounts inside the paddock, he's the single most important non-driver in Formula One, or at least he was at Red Bull. To understand why this news hit so hard, you need to understand what's been going on at Red Bull for the last 18 months. And it started with the massive bombshell news of Adrian Newey leaving the Red Bull stable, arguably the greatest F1 car designer of all time, heading to Aston Martin. Then followed quickly after that, Jonathan Wheatley, their sporting director, heading to Audi F1. And what a job he's done there, by the way. Shortly after, Christian Horner was dismissed as team principal. That writing was kind of on the wall, you'd say. Will Courtney, their head of race strategy, is signed for McLaren. We also got the big news of Helmut Marko, one of Max Verstappen's big allies up at the top, left the team at the end of last season. And Red Bull have gone from one of the most feared operations in the paddock to hemorrhaging talent left, right and centre faster than you can keep track. And if that wasn't enough, they've hit the ground running in 2026 with this massive news of Gianpiero Lambiase leaving the team. For the first time ever, Red Bull have ran their own engine and it's not gone too well. The car has been miles off the pace of Mercedes, Ferrari and the McLaren. The car's slow. Max Verstappen is massively frustrated with these 2026 engine regulations. And the team that's made domination look so routine really on the back foot and fighting to be competitive. And it's in this context, in the slow motion unravelling, that the vultures have been circling around GP. Aston Martin came knocking first. They offered him the role of team principal to run the whole show. He turned them down with a huge money offer apparently on the table from him. Williams were interested too, but McLaren made their move. And as today, the 9th of April, it's been confirmed by both Red Bull and McLaren that GP will be leaving the team at the end of 2027. He will, at the latest start, said McLaren, in 2028. McLaren confirming, though, that he will, and it was in the first line of their official statement was McLaren's, that he will be reporting to Andrea Stella. Rumours are that Andrea has signed a pre-contract with Ferrari to be team principal there in 2028. So potential that GP might be team principal at McLaren, and Andrea Stella going back to Ferrari where he started his career. So we'll watch the space on that one, but serious whispers obviously of GP taking over the team principal role at Woking. Think about that. The man who built Max Verstappen up to a world champion, 4-time world champion, could soon be running the team that was being back-to-back world champions. And next comes the Verstappen question. Now, this is where it truly gets fascinating and a little bit scary for Formula One as a whole, because Max Verstappen has openly stated that his GP goes, he goes too. That was his words, not mine. I stopped too is clearly what he said. Now we can be potentially taking this a little bit out of context, because this was around the whole time of the whole Christian Horner battle, Helmut Marko battle, and there was rumours then of GP leaving as well. And was this sort of a power play from Max Verstappen to keep the team together? But let's not dismiss that whole throwaway comment just yet. Let's look at the bigger picture. Max Verstappen has already hinted at retirement or a sabbatical, a time away from the sport after the Japanese Grand Prix, no doubt. He told BBC that he's actually seriously thinking about walking away from the sport at the end of this season if they can't get these regulations right. Sources close to him and friends close to him have said this is more likely than not. Max Verstappen described these 2026 regulations as anti-racing, F1 on steroid or Formula E on steroids, to Mario Kart. His Red Bull's not competitive either. His engineer is leaving. The team around him is no longer the team that made him world champion. The question for F1 fans really now is, are we watching the final chapters of Max Verstappen in Formula One? And before he goes, the sport loses arguably one of the, and if he goes, should we say, the sport loses arguably one of the greatest driver of his generation and possibly ever. He's way, up there with racing talent. He is Mr. Racing, isn't he? And it happens not with the fanfare that was just leaving, but his Red Bull contract is still in his pocket and a quiet look of disillusionment on his face. It's not quite the way we wanted to see Max Verstappen time in Formula One come to an end. Effectively, it's just become cut short, really, hasn't it, to be honest with you? So let's watch the space on that one. Hopefully not the way we wish it to go. But McLaren, meanwhile, they're on to building something really special, aren't they? They've got Rob Marshall there. They've got Will Courtney coming from Red Bull, head of race strategy, and now Gianpiero Lambiase, back-to-back constructors world champions. They've got Lando Norris as a world champion, and they're hovering over and hoovering up Red Bull's DNA piece by piece to build what should be one of the most feared teams and operational teams in Formula One, and something that we've seen Red Bull be, and they've just absolutely repeated how bad it's gone for Red Bull in the last 4 or 5 years. And is this the end of an era, the beginning of another? Red Bull dynasty was built on genius engineering, the best driver on the planet, and it's just really self-destructed and right before our very eyes. The most painful part of this for Red Bull is they probably can't stop it. Where does this come to an end? We'll soon find out, but let me know your thoughts in the comment. Will Max Verstappen walk away from the sport at the end of this year? And is this GP move the final nail in the coffin for Red Bull? And have they truly lost the plot and all direction from here on out? We'll soon find out. If you've enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, comment. As always, the F1 season seems to be only getting wilder by the moment, but I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.